Hey everyone, and welcome to Already Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Tara, and we are going to talk about the Twilight Zone Season 2, Episode 3. It's called Nervous Man in a $4 Room. First thing we have to talk about here is how long do you think it's been since a motel or hotel room could be had for $4 a night? I'm going to guess a while.
I don't know. If they're still available, I don't want to sleep in them.
I mean, you watched The Office. Do you remember the episode where Michael goes up in the black light? Or Dwight has the black light. Yeah, and it's like, it's either blood, urine, or semen. And Michael says, God, I hope it's blood.
I probably would pick that too.
Yeah, I'm on his side. I think blood is the least disgusting of the bunch. But that's neither near nor here. We're here to talk about the Twilight Zone episode. So, full spoilers for the episode as always. The premise of this one is that a character named Jackie, who's a sort of small-time criminal who does jobs for a gang or a mob, and he is waiting for an order from his boss named George, who comes over and gives him the order, which for the first time ever is not stealing from like a store or something like that. It's not, ripping someone off. It is a murder. He wants him to assassinate someone who's been not paying his dues, from the sounds of it. So, some old man who's not paying the protection fee, as it were. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's the gist of it, and he's left alone, and he's a bit of a coward, this Jackie. He's nervous as shit. I mean, the title kind of implies that, but he's very antsy about it. He doesn't want to do that. He's kind of scared of going to prison. He's scared of being caught, that kind of thing. And then, of course, the actual Twilight Zone element that comes into it is that eventually a more confident version of himself starts talking to him from the mirror in the room. And that's kind of where we go with the episode. So, Tara, did you enjoy Nervous Man in a $4 Room?
I didn't at first, but I kind of like it. Yeah, I think it's okay.
I'm pretty lukewarm on it. And I agree it started off weaker than it was by the end. But I think overall, I have to say, I enjoyed last week's episode well enough, but I think this one and the first one, the one with the plane in the desert,
yeah,
I think they both suffer from padding, and I really felt it in the first half of this one. After George leaves the room, after he's given him the order to kill someone, there's a 3 or 4 minute monologue of him just talking to himself, and all of it's just worthless. Nothing about it matters. You could cut the whole thing out, and it wouldn't make a bit of difference to the plot.
Yeah, it's a lot of, I just hate myself. I wish I can trade myself in for a better model. And we get it. He says that Georgie a lot.
Yeah, he says that line you just said there, trading himself in for a better model. He actually says that line twice, and it's not like he says it back, because now sometimes you repeat something right away because you're really emphasizing it. It's not like that. He says it, says a few other paragraphs, and then says that line again, which was really weird. I was like, you're actually writing in circles. What are you doing, episode? Come back round.
Maybe some of it was improv. I don't know. It just seemed. Yeah, it seemed like, okay, let's get going now. We've been on him for a while. We get it. He's nervous. He's not very good at things. He wishes he was better at things. He's
a bit of a weasel. And eventually, because I was actually sitting thinking, what's the Twilight Zone element to this? Where's the Twilight Zone thing coming in? And eventually, it's the sort of the copy of himself in the mirror, which of course I think we would analyze as just being a part of him. It's just a part of his brain, kind of arguing with himself.
It's a bit of a Gollum Smeagol moment, right?
Of course you went to Lord of the Rings.
What would you have gone to?
Mr. Robot.
That's a classic example.
Mr. Robot, baby. That's what I'd go to.
Okay.
Well, it's a great show. One of the best.
Well, more people know what I'm talking about.
Only because the world has bad taste on average. That's all. That is the only reason why.
We better continue and move on from this point, because you are about to lose a co-host.
Oh, please be Connor. Please be Connor. Please be Connor. Please be Connor. From there it picks up a little bit. Although that even said that, I do think the conversation between the mirror version of Jackie and the real version of Jackie, I do feel that even that feels like it starts to go in circles after a while, where I'm like, okay, this could also be condensed a little bit. I feel like the entire episode, which is obviously 25 minutes, it could. I think it'd probably be 10 minutes long. You could probably cut 15 minutes of this.
Yeah, it definitely feels long. But I do like some of the elements of the reflection talking back to you, and your reflection being different. I mean, this is kind of a horror trope now that I do really enjoy still.
I like, there's a fun visual effect at one point, which honestly, even the effect of like, obviously they've got like footage of him acting separately where the mirror is, and I think that actually looks pretty good for the time period. And then later on there's a big moment where he kind of gets really angry, pulls the mirror out, and there's nothing behind it because he's like desperate to find out who this imposter is that's talking to him, and it ends up spinning at one point. And actually, before it cut to the actual shot of it spinning, when you sort of know what's happening because you can see the reflection kind of bouncing up and down the wall, I was like, "Oh, how are they going to show this? Like, how can they pull this?" Because I'm thinking it's 1960, it's TV. Like how far can they go with this?
I like this effect.
And yeah, it looked not bad, honestly. It looked better than I thought it would have. So that was pretty good. Ultimately, the point of the story, of course, is that he's meant to go out by a certain time and kill this old man. And you're speaking of it wasting time, even the opening minute when he's on the phone to this George, and we don't even know what he's talking about. He's just kind of nervously saying, "George, I'm just waiting for the job, George. I'm just waiting for the job." And he says it,
Georgie.
I'm like, it sounds like the kid in it. We're talking about his brother. He's just talking about Georgie like all the time.
No, I was thinking of Mice and Men.
Ah, okay. It's been
Tell me about the rabbits, George.
It's been a long time since I've seen that. I saw that in school.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was thinking of. But in any case, I don't know. I mean, there's some elements of it that I think are pretty good. And even though it's a bit of a horror trope now, it's still one that I'm not quite tired of. Like, I still think Reflections doing something different than what you're doing is creepy.
Oh, sure.
And they use that a bit in this. This is mostly played for like not as much horror in the beginning. Like it's more of just a I don't know, like you're just talking to your reflection. Like they're just having a conversation. It kind of loses the horror a bit for that, but
yeah,
it's not bad. It's just like you said, it should be like 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's more of a psychological like examination of him as opposed to anything horror related, because even he's nervous as shit, but he's not scared of the reflection really. Like, it's not like he's terrified of it. He's just
he is in the very beginning. He tries to escape.
Sure, yeah.
He doesn't try very hard, I guess. He forgets about the boat lock. But he's not very good at stuff, so.
Yeah, he's terrible at stuff. He's because the reflection brings up stuff from his past. He's like, "Oh, so you did this job and you joined this guy, and I tried to talk you out of it, but no, you talk." He's essentially the conscience. He's the not quite the little devil or angel, because obviously there'd be two of them if it was, but like the better, more confident version of himself. And he talks about how we could have got married. There was this one girl and we were really into her. I loved her, Jackie. But you drove her away because you got us locked up for 2 years because of you joined this stupid gang and did this job.
Yeah. This was, I mean, I don't know. Like, you ever have conversations with yourself in the mirror about like, well, you're rolling away, but I was asking you a question, not making a point. But
I'm back.
Like
the cat was clawing at the door. I had to see to it. To answer your question though, which asked beautifully, might I add. Didn't panic at all because I rolled away. I mean,
it wasn't panic. It was just like annoyance.
Well, apologies all the same.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess I do some. I feel like I don't, because I've got cats to talk to. I'd find myself talking to the cats instead of myself.
Yeah. Okay.
And you can relate to that.
I mean, I've had like stages of my life where I was not very happy and felt lonely, and I would like go to the mirror and have full conversations, but like it's more of like a narration of things rather than like I don't know. Yeah, I guess it's a little embarrassing, but but I don't mind. I don't think I'm alone here. I think this happens a lot where you have just, I don't know, like you just start going over the things in your past that you could have done differently, or
Tara,
like it's more of like a how did I get here kind of situation.
I think you not being alone here, or you thinking you're not alone here, is the problem.
Really? Like, well, I
No,
don't
no,
know.
I was just joking.
Maybe because you have cats, you haven't gone through this, or maybe you've never been like depressed. But I think it's a common thing.
Tara, I was just cracking a joke because you uttered the phrase, "I don't think I'm alone here," and I'm like, that's ironic because the whole thing we're talking about is that you're alone talking to yourself in the mirror. Like,
Okay, yeah, you're right. I didn't get it because I was focused on the actual, like, what I was talking about.
yet more annoyance at me. This is becoming a trend on this episode of the Twilight Zone. I don't know. I don't think so. Do you know what I do? And this is honest, is I do tend to talk to myself a lot in my head. And it's something that people have told me over the years that I've never noticed that I do. And even though that I know I do it, I've still never noticed it. But people have told me that sometimes you can see myself, like my lips moving. And I'm not saying anything out loud. I'm clearly just thinking about something, but my lips will be moving to like whatever I'm saying to myself.
Is that why your microphone is always covering?
Not so much when I'm in conversation. I used to have a job at a bingo hall, and a lot of that would be standing waiting for things to happen, and it was a really boring part of the shift. And apparently during that, you could constantly see me talking to myself because that's but not in an out loud way, just in my head, but you could see my lips moving.
Yeah, just, doing aliens quotes, making sure that you have them all down. Probably.
Maybe, well, it tends not to be that I'm talking to myself. It tends to be that I'm not practicing, but like just thinking about conversations I might be having with other people in the future. Like.
Oh, yeah. I think that's pretty common. Yeah.
I'm going to roll over again. Are you going to be okay for the next like 10 seconds?
Yeah. You just rolled right when I was asking a question and there was a delay. So, but yeah, I think that's fairly common. I'm not going to ask a question. You can go. I think that's fairly common. That's probably where the idea of this episode like originates from. It's like, what if you're having a conversation with yourself, but they start smoking a cigarette and talking like you, but like a different version of you, the version that you wished you were, the jerk store called and they ran out of you, that kind of conversation where you wish you could do things differently.
My reflection wishes it was me, okay? I was just make that clear right now.
Your reflection is the one that's scared and stupid.
I'm the alpha, the reflection's the beta, all right?
Beta for bitch. Yeah.
Hey, you said it, not me.
I own
it. Oh dear. I mean, like, it's painfully okay. It's just drawn out over 20 plus minutes when it should be half that, if not less.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree.
Almost every.
Or they should have done more with it.
Yeah, almost every section of the story, like if you break it down into, okay, he's on the phone at the start, and then he has the meeting with George. I mean, the meeting with George doesn't go too long, I suppose, and then he's on his own talking to himself, and then he's talking to the reflection of himself. Every single part of that chain, all of them go on too long. Mm-hmm. Every single one could be shorter.
Yeah, I agree.
And
it's a little bit of the mirror, or what is it? The mirror image episode, not mirror. That's Star Trek.
yes, that's the evil tease.
It's a little bit of it's a little bit of the mirror image episode, which I think is sort of similar, where somebody gets replaced by another version of themselves. But that one is done suspensefully, where there's a bit of a.
That episode's very engaging.
Every scene is very drag. It gets a little bit dragged out, but it's just because you're trying to figure out what's going on.
But there's so much mystery in that episode. There's so much mystery of what's actually happening, and it's like a really tight episode. And it's still only really one set. It's just this little bus depot with a bathroom and like maybe the exterior for where the entrance is. But this episode in comparison feels so cheap just because it's and there's no reason why our episode in a $4 room can't be good, because it can be, but it doesn't feel like they do anything with it to make it actually entertaining. That other episode also has people for her to bounce off of. She talks to other characters who kind of notice she's going a bit crazy and things like that. There's other elements to it to break it up, whereas this episode really only has him until George comes back, And all that really happens is that Jackie kind of says, "Look, George, I'm resigning," and he gives him a whack in the stomach and a kick. It makes it clear that he's not working for him anymore. And all I could think is that, like, I almost felt like...
And he didn't pull off the hit.
Yeah, of course, yeah, didn't go, because that's why George comes over. He's pissed at him, because he's like, "You're meant to kill the old man." And he gets all confident with him, and he kicks him out. And all I could feel was, like, if this actually is the mob or a gang, like, they're just going to come back in force and kill you. Like, you're doomed. I felt like this point... Because the point it's making here is that as soon as he got confident, he was able to stick up to him and break free from this slave. But I almost feel like this would be a better plot to give to, like, I don't know, like a school kid who stands up to a bully. Like it would actually make more sense that this would actually work.
Not the mom.
The mom?
Well, maybe he switches back with his nervous self right before he gets killed.
Oh, maybe. Yeah. I mean, but that's basically it. I don't have a whole lot more to say. It's just, it's pretty straightforward in what it's doing, and it just drags itself out far too long. There's a couple of nice moments with the effect of the mirror and it's spinning and things like that, but...
yeah, I have to agree. I mean, yeah, not the best, but some promising things in it.
Yeah, I will say Rod Serling's tease for next episode had me intrigued. I don't remember the episode, but the description he gave intrigued me, because he's got like a TV, like it's like an old 60s big TV with a big wooden like exterior, which I'm pretty sure neither of us are old enough to have ever seen one in person.
Well, no, but I have relatives who are cheap and will hold on to things.
That's fair.
And if it's still working, they won't replace it, even if it's like 30 years old or more.
That is fair. That is fair. No old age jokes, no judgments, right? But he's got a TV, he's got a phone, a typewriter, and something else, and he's like, "Hey, these are all, prime articles that say we're deep in the middle of the 20th century." And honestly, I was just sort of thinking to myself, like, the typewriter's the only one here that is like completely like out of date. Like, obviously, TVs and phones technology has changed a lot since 1960, but we still have TVs and phones. The typewriter has been completely replaced. Like, we use computers now. It's easier. But I was just thinking that. But anyway, he says that these just aren't machines, they're monsters. So he introduces that the next episode is going to be called A Thing About Machines. And the description in IMDb is actually really short. It's Bartlett Finchley, what a name. Bartlett Finchley's paranoia about the machines around proves true. I like the sound of this episode. I don't know if it's going to be any good, but I like the sound of it.
Is it an early dangers of AI, or is it early what's that Stephen King movie that he directed and wrote?
Maximum Overdrive?
Yeah.
I've never seen it. I have had it recommended to me multiple times.
It might be a good bonus episode for screens.
Tyler, one of our regular patrons, has been asking for it, and I kept saying to him, I was like, "What show does it?" Is he
a producer?
He is, yes. And I kept asking him, like, what show do you think it fits on? Because is it kind of a horror movie? Is it more of a sci-fi? Because it's machines coming to life? Like, what is it? And he's like, "I don't really know. It could fit in either." I'm like, "Oh, fine then." Yeah, maybe it'll be a bonus movie.
It's Stephen King. I mean, I think that's more horror. I would lean more in horror. Plus, I don't want to watch it.
You brought it up. You brought it up.
Oh, come on. There's no way that your co-host of Screams After Midnight and Stephen King aficionado has not brought up Maximum Overdrive to you before.
Okay, I'm going to give it to you just because Tim is like a Stephen King superfan and has read like literally hundreds of Stephen King books at this point. Because Stephen King churns out like 5 a year, so there's like now 40 years of like books to read that are it's the complete opposite of George R. R. Martin, who's like, "No, every 5 years I'll do one." I'll do one every 5 years.
If you're lucky.
Oh dear. I don't care about Game of Thrones, but I am like, it's such a common thing now to make fun of the fact that he's not got the next Game of Thrones book ready, that I appreciate the meme of it. I enjoy a good meme, Tara.
I know.
A good meme. Alright, so next we've got A Thing About Machines. That has been a nervous man in a $4 room. And if I was in a room that only cost $4, I'd be pretty nervous too. So you can, of course, let us know what you think of the episode in comments below. You can like and subscribe, all that stuff. Ding the bell on YouTube. Make sure you get the notifications. All these things do help, as does rating the podcast on Apple Podcasts. More people find us that way. Well, if you give us a good rating, that is, give us a nice 5-star rating, maybe a little review, just saying how attractive and amazing I am. And then maybe mention Tara as well in a short statement. And do that. Tara, how can people support us financially?
Well, you could check out our Patreon page. It's patreon.com/MildFuzzTV. You can donate as little as $1 per month towards my reconstruction surgery on my face, apparently. Every little bit helps. It's expensive, although we have the best surgeons out here in California. Everybody looks great, except for one. And appreciate it.
Just because I said I was beautiful doesn't necessarily mean that you aren't. And it certainly doesn't necessarily mean that you are so hideous that you need surgery. That's you adding more in there than was intended. Thank you very much.
I know. I'm sorry. I looked at the mirror earlier and I don't know. I blacked out for a second. So.
That's because Tara 2
replaced.
Tara 2 T2 took over. It did all sorts of shenanigans while you were knocked out. She sent me an email saying I agree to do maximum overdrive.
What?
And I said yes.
Tara, you fool.
Why, yes, Tara. But that is us. That has been our Twilight Zone discussion. Of course, check out other content we have as well. Me and Connor have been working our way through Star Trek. We're season 2 of Next Generation right now, but we did the entire original series, and that'll be a project that goes on for years and years and years and years and years.
Nothing ever ends.
That was a Watchmen reference, which we're also reviewing, aren't we, Tara? That's me and you.
We are almost done, although by the time this goes up, we'll be done.
We will be done. But that's the beautiful thing about Watchmen, is that we're experiencing time differently than everyone who's listening to this.
So we are already done. And
Yes.
just starting.
Yes, exactly.
And never even heard of Watchmen at the same time.
Thank you once again, guys, for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV in the Twilight Zone.